This is Ken Carpenter welcoming you to the Bing Crosby Show, transcribed from Hollywood.
Moonlight becomes you. It goes with your hair. You certainly know the right thing to wear.
Good evening, this is Bing Crosby. Buddy Cole, the boys, and I would like to serenade you right off with that old favorite entitled, Do Yez Ever Think of Me?
When you have another's arms about you, do you ever think of me? And when you whisper, I can't live without you, do you ever think of me? And when your eyes disguise those same old loving lies you tell so tenderly, deep in your heart unfeeling, when some heart you're stealing, do you ever think of me? When you have another's arms about you, do you ever think of me? And when you whisper, I can't live without you, do you ever think of me? And when your eyes disguise those same old loving lies you tell so tenderly, deep in your heart and feeling, when some heart you're stealing, do you ever think of me?
Thank you, buddy. You know, from time to time on these 5-night-a-weekers, we're going to try and snag some outstanding personalities from here, there, and everywhere to stand up and yak on various topics with me. Tonight, our guest is the lady who has been named Woman of the Year in the motion picture industry. This gal happens to be a very dear pal of mine, and she also happens to be the head fashion designer at Paramount Studio, Miss Edith Head. Edith, tell me, how's it feel to be nominated Woman of the Year?
It's exciting, but you know what is even more exciting is my brand new career.
And that is?
The one of designing clothes for men in motion pictures. You know, Bing, I've done women's clothes for years and years and years, but to suddenly be confronted with a male star and to design clothes for them, that is really an honor. You know, Bing, I never realized how much difference there was between a male temperament and a female temperament from a point of view of a designer. They're two completely different animals.
Oh, yes, temperamentally. Also, their chassis are a little different, too.
Well, I'm not speaking of the chassis. What I'm talking about is take you, for example. You be my guinea pig for a moment. Now, designing clothes for you and designing clothes for, say, Audrey Hepburn or Rosemary Clooney or any of the girls, it's a different approach. Now, with a woman, I use flattery. Now, you know, flattery would get me no place with you, would it?
Well, you might at least try a little soft soap. I might purr like a tomcat full of fresh mouse, but I'm interrupting here, you know?
Well, now let me go back to my guinea pigs. Suppose I'm dressing, say, Vera Ellen. I'll say, Vera, your hips look divine. Your waist is so small. Don't you think you should let me do this white dress for you? All I have to do is say, Bing, dear, your hips look sensational in these white trousers. You know what you'd do? You'd hit me right over the head.
I would not. I know a sincere compliment when I hear one. But, Edie, what would you say your toughest job has been? That is, outside of making my hips look real soigné.
You're being serious?
Yeah.
I think the toughest thing in the world is to try to persuade any star, male or female, and a director and a producer at the same time so that they all like the same design. You see, if you could only design something just for you, for an example, and have you like it, but don't forget I have your director, I have your producer, I have your cameraman, I have all the other technicians.
Well, there's no business like show business. It's crazy and mixed up, but, man, it's wonderful.
Of course it is, but I want to get back to my favorite subject, and that is designing for men, because you see, this is a new career. I've been doing women's clothes for years, but you and Danny Kaye are my first guinea pigs. Oh, by the way, I have another brand new guinea pig. Guess who?
Who's that?
Cary Grant.
Well, now, there's a tall, handsome guinea pig. But, Edith, enough of this boy talk. What about women's styles? You still whip up stylish gowns for the gals, don't you?
I do, but that's academic. That's something that you just work out. I mean, you know the woman, you know her chassis, you know the story, and you know what clothes are going to be worn. But when you start kind of creeping into the new field of men's clothes and say, let's change the color, let's change the silhouette, you have to tread with great, great delicacy, because men are basically afraid of women designers. Did you know that?
Well, maybe so, but plenty of men let their wives pick out their clothes for them.
Well, I think it's an absolutely necessary thing. I think every man, when he shops, should have a wife, a girlfriend, a daughter, or a neighbor, or whatever he can find to go shopping with him, because a woman's point of view is more objective. You see, a man is subjective. He looks at that necktie and says, it's a nice necktie. A woman will look and say, that is a nice necktie, but not for you.
Now, just a minute. Aren't you overlooking all those horrible Christmas neckties that women give men each year?
That is women's way of getting even with men for all the things that men give women they don't like.
Well, as long as it's a form of retaliation, I guess we can't squawk about it. But, Edith, a moment back, you started to say something about a change in men's clothes, didn't you?
Yes, let me be serious for a moment. There is a certain change creeping into men's clothes. I keep using the word creeping because it's a very slow process to change a man's mind. And that is, it isn't a drastic change. It's that instead of the stereotype colors, in other words, instead of the old, navy blue suit for good wear, the Sunday go-to-meeting blue suit, now it can be a charcoal suit. It can be a charcoal gray or a charcoal brown. And some of them fabrics are much lighter weight, and they have a little more interest. In other words, men aren't going into pink and blue and sequins and strange styles, but the colors are going to be a little less stereotyped, and the fabric's going to be a little easier to wear. I think one reason is because men are so darn difficult to get into dinner clothes. Now, the new dinner clothes are made of much lighter fabric, so we can't hear screams when they say, let's wear a black tie tonight. Men can be difficult, you know about that. And did you ever think of the horrible, horrible thing of getting into a dinner dress and have a man show up in a sport coat?
Any man who would do a thing like that should be horsewhipped. What about this contour change? Should we men anticipate bustles or overly padded shoulders
or a changing waistline? No, I don't think you can do too much for a man's figure. I think that what you're going to do is do what we call normalcy. In other words, if a man has sloping shoulders, you pad them. If he has broad shoulders, you don't. I think you're always going to try to exaggerate the slimness of a man's hips and the length of his legs. But I don't think even a woman designer would dare trifle with the silhouette of a man's suit.
You know, Edith, isn't this rather unusual for you, an internationally famous designer of women's clothes, to branch out into men's fashions? I believe you're the first couturier to do this, n'est-ce pas?
No, you're wrong about that. No.5 has two different houses of design. He designs for women, and he has a magnificent line of men's clothes, men's sportswear. And it's in no way unusual. Some of the most famous people in Europe do have their clothes designed at No.5. However, I think that you should get your clothes right here in America, and particularly right here in Hollywood.
Edith, would you say that men's styles, that is, in films today, have an influence on the general public?
I know they do. As a matter of fact, people actually copy. They say, I want a Crosby shirt or a Cary Grant necktie or something of that sort. And something else, I think that a lot of the modern sport clothes are adapted from period clothes, such as for example, the period early Western clothes you wore in the Numbers and Country Girl. Those had sport shirt influences and broad-brimmed hats, and I think those are the things that the designers go to for inspiration. Don't underestimate the effect on the public of what a male star wears.
Well, thanks. Thanks very much, Edie, for showing up tonight and unleashing these sartorial thunderbolts. I'd like to say further that when the motion picture industry picked you as Woman of the Year, they picked a gal that's done a lot toward dressing up the industry, as well as the folks in it. I'll be seeing you around the factory, huh, Edie? Now, if I may be excused, I'd like to get at the music, huh? Here's a selection that I trust you and the folks listening will get a modicum of enjoyment out of.
Once I had a secret love that lived within the heart of me. All too soon my secret love became impatient to be free. Soon I told a friendly star the way the dreamers often do, just how wonderful you are and why I'm so in love with you. Now I shout it from the highest hills, even told the golden daffodils. At last my heart's an open door, and my secret love no secret anymore. At last my heart's an open door, and my secret love's no secret anymore.
That's about it for this evening. Matter of fact, that's all for this week. But we'll be right back here Monday night, though. Same time, same place. You have a nice weekend, you hear?
Moonlight becomes you. It goes with your hair. You certainly know the right thing to wear.
Be sure to hear Bing Crosby transcribed from Hollywood again on Monday. This is Ken Carpenter wishing you a pleasant good evening.